is the Lemons Rally?
Well, the Lemons Rally, succinctly put, is the speed dating of American tourism coupled with really, really silly and ideally impractical cars that have no chance of making it, and part of the goal is just to see what your rig can do. Basically, the incentive is to bring the most ridiculous car you can for the most starting points.
The idea to bring a car that's historically unreliable.
Right.
The Lemon.
Right, which ours, naturally, we brought a 1990 Chrysler's TC by Maserati, which, just to give a brief overview of the car, is it is K-platform. So basically, somehow our Lord and Savior Iacocca and Alejandro Di Tommaso of the Di Tommaso Pantera fame there came together in the 80s and decided to build a car together, and somehow this car they ended up building is basically a shortened LeBaron. It's not a LeBaron, it's actually shorter, it has no back seat, so they built a shorter LeBaron, 500 of which came with an actual Maserati motor that was a turbo 2 block with like a Cosworth head that Maserati made, so that thing coupled to a 5-speed, that thing actually made decent power. And then the rest of them either had the turbo 2 or, like ours did, had the 3-liter V6 Mitsubishi motor, which those of you who are familiar with, like, say, the Plymouth Voyager might know a thing or two about that motor. And coupled to the notorious A604 transmission, which thankfully ours seemed to be fine, but yeah, I had to watch out for that too. That was the thing I was most worried about, actually, with the A604.
Our transmission was fine because I never got to drive the car.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm terrible on automatic transmissions, apparently. But anyway, so the drive out there, we met up with the Duke boys. The Duke Arrives is their Instagram hashtag. And they were driving the, what was it, 84?
85 Fleetwood Brougham that basically was made up to look like the one Isaac Hayes drove in the John Carpenter classic Escape from New York. And they actually did a really, really good job of nailing that thing. It looked really close to it.
Yeah, it was really nice. It had the giant chandeliers on the front. Functional, yes. Running on the road. They kept those things on every time they were driving. And they are distracting to everyone involved.
Yep.
In the car, outside the car, just standing on the road. So many people like broke their necks trying to look over to see it. It was ridiculous.
I mean, and this is coming from people like, you know, we have Jurassic Park Jeeps, Yugos, like cars with Italian flags painted on the hood. I mean, me and Keith have a lot of really distracting cars, and that did not even compare to a rolling chandelier mobile.
Exactly. Our first day, we showed up. We went top down from the hotel. It was like 30 degrees out, and we rolled with the windows down, which was not a smart idea. We later figured out if you put the windows up and keep the heat on, it actually kind of held the heat in the car, so it was much better off.
Yep.
But the first day was smooth sailing. I mean, the sun was shining. We were hitting checkpoints, and actually they didn't have a ridiculous amount of checkpoints on the first day.
Especially considering we had to go from New Hampshire to Massachusetts to Rhode Island to Connecticut and then up to Vermont. So, I mean, there were quite a bit of states visited that day. And actually, I mean, it was, I guess, towards what you'd probably call dinner time, like 6 o'clock. We were, like, running out of checkpoints, and we were kind of worried that, like, if, you know, as they said at the beginning, like, you can make your own checkpoints up and you might get points for them. And I was like, we gotta find some checkpoints here, because if we just run out right now and end the day early, like, it's not gonna bode well for us. So Keith started looking, and thankfully he found what just knocked us out of the park there.
Yes, I found a short drive away a Maserati dealership, and I gave them a call. I talked to the general manager of the floor there, and I told him what we were doing and why we were doing it, and he thought that was just the coolest thing ever. So I asked him, hey, is there any way we could pull our shitbox Maserati into the showroom floor, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, we'll move the Ghibli." What? Did not expect that to happen. I totally expected to hear, "No, get up, just get the hell out of here, kid." Click.
Well, which would have been fine too. We would have just said, "Well, listen, can we just like show up and then just have you like on camera tell us to fuck off?" And really, that would have been really good too. That probably would have got points, but
yeah, but that guy was so nice.
He was super nice.
He gave us a license plate.
Yeah, we got a license plate frame. We were gonna get some stickers, but they've thrown them away already. Yeah, super nice. We asked him if he could do us a favor and appraise the car, and unfortunately he couldn't put in negative values, so he appraised our TC by Maserati at $1 and put in the comments he wouldn't trade it for McDouble. So, but he did say it was in better condition than he thought it would be, for whatever that's worth, because I'm pretty convinced that my Chrysler's TC by Maserati at like 126,000 miles now, I'm pretty sure it's the worst one on the road. Pretty sure. Might be wrong, but you'd be hard pressed to find a higher mileage one that somebody actually drives, I would think.
Yeah.
Which is part of why we got more inspection points than anybody else did at the start, because Alan, the rally master, couldn't believe that one had over 120,000 miles either. So
he deemed us the least likely to finish the rally, which is ironic because we did finish the rally, and the diesel Mercedes, which are reliable to the end of the world, did not finish the rally.
Yeah.
They actually ended up buying another car and finishing the rally with that.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's what you do.
That is what you do. Yeah. People ask sometimes, like, what do you do if you break down? And the answer is you do everything you can to fix it, and if you can't do anything to fix it, then you just leave it somewhere and grab a rental car, and you don't not finish the rally. That's just absurd. You don't just, like, give up and drive home halfway through. No, you finish the rally.
Yeah, you get to the end. But day 2. Boy, was day 2 interesting. Day 2 was when it started raining.
Yep. And, well, right before we left the hotel, I decided, what are we at Chrysler good at is innovation. So I decided to take some Visqueen, and I, like, taped it above the windows and taped it to the windshield bow. And I was like, this crappy little Visqueen little T-top thing, this might work. It's held in with Gorilla Tape. This should help keep some water out. And I think we got I think that lasted about 5 minutes before that thing failed. So we just totally no top.
No top, yeah. The Visqueen ripped off immediately. It got up to speed and it just started flapping, and there was no helping it. So we ran no top the rest of the day. When we did stop, we had a tarp, so we could at least do that.
Yeah, and I mean,
we were stopped for a while.
Yeah, and at the start of day 2, I mean, if anything was going to kill the A604, in my opinion, it was going to be mountains. And the first thing we had to do that day, which thankfully we got to sleep in for because it didn't open until like 8 or 9 o'clock or whatever it was. So that was nice. We have to be up at 5 in the morning. So we go, and it's this toll road up this mountain, and it was pretty steep, I would say. I mean, I had to put that thing in second and just kind of gun on it there, and if anything was going to kill the transmission, I figured it would have been that, but the car stayed cool. I mean, I'm pretty convinced you can't overheat that V6, so we didn't overheat. We made it to the top just fine. We made it down just fine. I was pretty proud of the old girl, and I figured, shoot, if we made it through this, we're good.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Imperial and the Cadillac both overheated on the way up. So we're doing good in our little Italian car.
Yep, that did fine, and yeah, it pretty much was all foggy and raining that whole time, and then
we got to the Cog Railway.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of places where we were just able to shoot and go and didn't get wet, and then yeah, that's when we got to the Cog Railway and actually had to go throw the tarp over the car to go in, and yeah, just showing up there was worth, like, I don't know, 30 points, and then if you actually were stupid enough to ride the thing, I think you got an extra 50. And when you're going for the points win, every point counts. So the smart thing to do would have been to just say, screw the 3-hour tour, and just go keep moving on and get to the hotel with it, at like 8 o'clock and just hang out and not be miserable. But that's not, being the smart people, that's not what Lemons is about. So
yeah, the smart thing to do would have been to stay home. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, we pressed on. We went to the top of the mountain, and they dropped us off there and didn't come back for 40 minutes. Now, it was 30-something degrees, pouring, and the wind was somewhere in the, 40-mile-an-hour range.
Raining sideways.
It was about as cold and wet as I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, and they just, and I don't even think it was COVID related. It was the plumbing was out or something, so the stupid visitor center at the top was closed, and they were like, here, you can take refuge in this, unused train car, and you can hang out in here, which that didn't do much. No, that did not help. So, yeah, we were very cold and very miserable, but we eventually, 40 minutes later, got in another train and rode down. Yeah.
But some of the other guys just went up and rode the same train back down, which would have been smart, but we wanted to see the top of the mountain, which we did.
Well, I did get the summit, Mount Washington. At least I got to stand on the summit and be like, hey, at least then, I don't know, I got a decent enough picture, so I mean, it was slightly better than just riding it straight back down, but hey, what are you going to do? And then it was on the way leaving there, in the parking lot was the actual Plymouth Voyager, which had the 2.5-liter motor that my Dodge Aries had, coupled to a 5-speed. That was pretty cool to see that thing. He ate a screw and a nut that was in his throttle body, so that messed the spark plugs up and everything, and they got some new spark plugs pulled up. I mean, the van seemed to be running fine, and naturally being our disciples of Iacocca, we blessed the van, and that seemed to do good because it was able to complete the rally. So we blessed the van, left Mount Washington, and I think that was on the way leaving Mount Washington was when I realized, hey Keith, wasn't there a checkpoint we should have hit a while back? And there was, and because it happens, and that was an hour in the opposite direction, but because neither of us had any interest in getting any sort of rest or sleep that night, you gotta go back for it. So we did. And that took, I think, that took 2 hours out of our day, and I think the final checkpoint of the night, I think, was in New Hampshire still, right?
Yeah, that was that museum that was closed down.
Oh no, that actually wasn't Maine though. Yeah, that museum was in Maine. But either way, I really don't regret that whole thing because we're missing that because we ended up taking some crazy road through northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and into Maine there. And I think we were the only car on that road most of the time. And it was just a really rural, really pretty area. Pretty sure some Sam Squanches were living in there. We never saw them, unfortunately, but it was really pretty, and then only then did we, again, Lemons is not about being smart. We pass an open McDonald's, open gas station, all this stuff, and I think, Vermont, and we're not hungry right now, we won't stop there, and that's when we realized that nowhere in northern New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine is open past, 8 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah, so they roll up the sidewalks.
So, yeah, the sidewalks got rolled up, so that was kind of cool, but at least we had gas and got a cool little road, and I think it was, we rolled into the final checkpoint. It was 10 o'clock, and I think it was 2 hours to get to the nearest city, so that would have been midnight. And then that's when I had, before we even left, accepted we were probably going to have to spend the night in the car at one point just because of just timetables, COVID crap, what have you, and I just was well, I think this is it. And go, Keith, do you really want to spend $150 to sleep in a hotel for 4 hours?
Nope.
He didn't. Nope. So I said, well, go find us a Walmart.
Yep. So we drove closer to the checkpoint that we were going to have to start at the next morning, which we actually started at 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
But
and,
it's a good thing that we did, because everybody that went to the host hotel, city, to stay the night, they got snowed on, and snowed on hard.
Yeah.
And the city is in a valley. So even the organizers rented Hemi Challenger couldn't make it out of the city because they had to go uphill, and it was just sheet ice. A couple of the teams lost a couple hours trying to get out of there.
Yeah, oh yeah. And meanwhile, we went to Farmington and a little bit further south, I think it was, and they, we got to the Walmart parking lot. There was somebody already there with an RV, so we just kind of like pulled in a couple spots away from them and started, we just busted out our tarp. And thankfully there was one gas station in Farmington that was open at midnight so that we could get ourselves some beef jerky and water so we wouldn't like totally die overnight. That was a lifesaver.
That whole rally we subsisted on beef jerky and Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't have time to like stop at a Subway, if you think about it, because a Subway is going to take like 10 minutes to get your sub, and then like the driver's going to have to eat it. We didn't have time for that. Like,
we did not stop at a restaurant the whole time.
No.
It was just gas stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, just jerky and Rice Krispie treats.
They don't have time for that kind of thing. Some other people stopped at restaurants, and they I think that worked out well for them, but they didn't win. So,
exactly. But
anyway, we digress. So we put the tarp up. The guy in the RV came out, and we're just like, "Yeah, hey, how's it going? We're just fellow campers, howdy ho, fellow campers." And he thought it was pretty funny and went back in, and it wasn't bad in there. I mean, we just kind of, it was kind of like I equate it to being in like one of the old Gemini capsules, and the bonus being we didn't have to poop in front of one another. So we just it was pretty warm, and I'd say I'd slept a solid 4 hours or whatever it was. I felt pretty good the next day. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I felt pretty good too. I had brought a bunch of blankets, and I at least got to take my wet socks off, and I was actually nice and warm. Had a pillow and everything. So we got up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, but that actually was hard because I figured I wouldn't be able to sleep. No, I was out, and then the alarm rang, and well, we had to be up at 4 a.m. because we had to hit the bridge, and then we had to go to a lighthouse. So, what are you going to do?
We had to time the ferry to get to the lighthouse to be able to hit that checkpoint, because that was worth a lot of points.
It was worth like 100.
Yeah. Cue us going across the ferry, but we didn't take the car. We tarped the car, and we rode the ferry just on foot because it was cheaper, and we didn't want to sit in the car with it open top and just pouring on us.
It
was a wicked nor'easter.
It was.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was, but we had to get our 100 points, and we didn't even get off the ferry. Like, it was said just take a picture of the lighthouse. So, we were on the ferry, we pulled up, got out, took the picture, and then just watched the car. They actually had the the Duke boys and the Cougar, and there were a couple of cars that I think skipped the bridge, right? That's how they caught up to us?
Yeah, they skipped the bridge, and the cool part about us hitting the bridge so early is that nobody else that hit the bridge realized that the bridge actually had rope lights on it. It was really cool at night, and it ended up taking a really good night shot of the car. But yeah, we hit the bridge. We had to hit 2 or 3 other checkpoints before we made it to the boat. But after we got off the boat, we started cruising south, and it was smooth sailing from there. The sun came out, our spirits were lifted, we were doing a little karaoke in the car.
Yeah, pretty much, I think it was like, I don't know, it was like late morning, like 11 or noon or something, I think, was when it was like peak soakage, and we were singing like Let It Go from Frozen, and like we were going past the toll booths, and people were laughing at us pretty hard because it was just pouring. And just at some point, like around like 1 o'clock, just the skies just opened, and we started to actually like receive warmth.
Yeah, the heater was actually keeping us warm at that point.
Yeah, we took the ponchos off, which was nice. Took the outer jacket off. That was nice. We were pretty warm, and because the deadline to get back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway there was like 4:30 in order to participate in the festivities. We ended up we ended up getting it pretty good. We rolled in at 20 minutes early, maybe.
20 minutes early, yeah. New Hampshire Motor Speedway had a 24 Hours of Lemons event going on, so the race cars actually going around the track were finishing up at 4:30. So that's why we had to be there, because we got to do a parade lap out on New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And it wasn't even, it was the track that they had set up for Lemons. It wasn't just a oval. they had a extra part that went down and around and back on. It was a really cool track. I would have loved to actually race it, but I don't have the money for that, essentially.
Yeah, but it was cool because we got to, like, they had the pace car, and he was only doing like 30 miles an hour, but everybody was kind of doing the old little hang back and let the other guy in front get a little bit ahead so you could go gunning around the corners. We were kind of doing a little bit of that, and that in a 3-liter minivan engine is just absolutely hysterical. I was laughing the whole time.
It was so much fun. And then we were sitting at the awards ceremony there, and they were calling us out, calling out the winners, and they did the on points last, didn't they? Or no, they did the points first.
No, they did the points first.
Yeah, they did the points first.
We
were we were listening, and they called third, and that was the people that were right behind us the day before.
Yep.
So we're like, uh-oh. And then they called second. We're like, is that going to be us? And they were calling out first, and they were describing us. I mean, Q.
First place on points goes to a car. They had a shtick. They stuck with it all through the rally. They left the top down all through the rally. They took their car to a Maserati dealership and got an appraisal for $1, which is about 99 cents too much. It goes to, my glasses are too steamed up to see. Where have all the lemons gone in the Chrysler TC by Maserati?
But they were describing us. I don't know about you. I was so excited to hear our names called out.
Oh, I was, because I was just like, I mean, not to sound like a sore loser or anything, but I couldn't live with like third or something. After all we did, I was like, we need to win this. Like, mainly just so that I don't ever have to just be that stupid again. But I was just like, we need points. I need to win first on points so that the Walmart and the cold and everything else just end up paying off for us. And it did. And it was just a great feeling.
It was a fantastic feeling. It made everything worth it.
If you can find a better car,
Buy it.